Hello everyone, this is Dhanalakshmi, Assistant Professor of Prithvi Department from RMD Engineering College. In this session, I would like to discuss about the Habeas Corpus Act and Bill of Rights, where it is a continuation of the previous video, where in this previous video we were discussing about Magna Carta and Petition of Rights. So there are four major documents or four main documents of human rights. One is Magna Carta, Petition of Rights, Habeas Corpus Act and Bill of Rights. So in the previous video, we discussed about Magna Carta and Petition of Rights. In this video, we'll discuss about the remaining two documents, Habeas Corpus Act and the Bill of Rights. So Habeas Corpus Act, it is the act which is implemented in the year 1679. It is an act of Parliament in England during the rule of King Charles II. Actually, the Petition of Rights is against King Charles I, and this Habeas Corpus Act is is against King Charles II. Right? So this Habeas Corpus Act is mainly for the protection and prevention of the prisoners. Right? So during the war times and during the ancient days, where the king tries to capture the other kingdom and the prisoner, and they make their subjects to be imprisoned, and during that time there are a lot of harassment against the prisoners. So the prisoners, as to the protection, the law which is protecting the prisoners have been implemented, and that is our Habeas Corpus Act. It was passed by and what became known as Habeas Corpus Parliament to define and strengthen the ancient prerogative right of habeas corpus, which required a court to examine the lawfulness of a prisoner's detention and thus prevent unlawful or arbitrary arrestment. So this is mainly for the prevention of prisoners. This will examine the lawfulness of a prisoner's detention. So even if a prisoner is detained, and it will examine whether it is lawful, and thus prevent the unlawful or arbitrary imprisonment. So these are the content of this document. When we take Habeas Corpus document, here we have these as the content. The person who is arrested soon be reviewed within 2 business days after the detention. This is the first point, where a person who is arrested should be reviewed within 2 business days after the detention. And the reason for detention of a person must be accompanied by the evidence that is lawful. That is the second point. And jailers were forbidden to move prisoners from one country to another country. Right? So the jailers were forbidden from moving prisoners from one country to another country because out of the country to evade the writ. And in case of disobedience of jailers would be punished with severe fines. In case of the misconduct of jailers would be punished severely and with the fine, and that which had to be paid to the prisoner. So these are the contents of the Habeas Corpus Act. Next, we'll go for Bill of Rights. Bill of Rights, it is in the year 1689. Bill of Rights issued and became law received by British Parliament as a form of resistance against King James II. Right, this is under the King James II. The Bill of Rights in the year 1689, it becomes a model for all these things. Right, it is implemented in the year 1689, but this becomes the model for these documents like U.S. Bill of Rights, which is in the year 1789, and United Nations Declaration, Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948, as we know, UDHR, and European Convention of Human Rights in the year 1950. For all these things, this becomes a model. So Bill of Rights, which is in the year 1689. And when we see the content of this document, these are the content which is there in the document. Freedom in selecting members of parliament. Right, the freedom is given to select the members of parliament. Freedom to speak and give opinions. Freedom to speak and give opinions. And the law and formation of standing army should be in line with parliament. So when they form the army, that should be in line with the parliament. Then right of citizens to embrace according to their beliefs. Right of citizens of embrace according to their beliefs. Then parliament has the right to change the decision of the king. So the parliament has the right over the king's decision. So that is the content of this Bill of Rights. Then that's it about the 4 documents of human rights. Then we go for UDHR. UDHR is Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So United Nations in the year 1945, they decided to conduct a meeting in Geneva, and they invited nearly 16 countries, and from the 16 countries, 26 delegates came and they participated in this Geneva. One second. So here it is in this United Nations UDHR, which is UDHR, that is about Geneva Convention. Here in the UDHR, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, is declared in the year 1948 by United Nations, UN. So what is the reason for universally declaring human rights? Is because in the World War II, it has been raged from 1939 to 1945. So many lives have been lost, and people have realized that the wars will not be the solution for anything. So they decided that the future generations should not face any war. right? So they want to stop the wars from, they want to stop the wars. Actually, here we can see that we, the peoples of United Nations, are determined to save the succeeding generations from the scourge of war, which twice in our lifetime has brought untold sorrow to mankind. So they decided that people realize that wars will be lead to only destruction, not to any, it will not fetch any solution. So they decided to universally declare the human rights. So this is headquarter of human rights, and it has been given that they formed a committee, and for this committee, they Eleanor Roosevelt is the chairmanship, was the chairman. Under the chairmanship of Eleanor Roosevelt, they declared this UDHR, and they drafted nearly 30 articles in this UDHR. So in the year 1948, it has been adopted. So under UDHR, 30 articles has been drafted by the committee headed by Eleanor Roosevelt. So here we can see that. So nearly 30 articles have been drafted there. So here you can see that United Nations on December 10, 1948, it is the most universal human rights documents in existence, delineating the 30 fundamental, it consists of 30 fundamental rights that form the basis for a democratic society. Today, the declaration is a living document that has been accepted as a contract between the government and its common people throughout the world. Right, and as we said that according to Guinness Book of World Records, it is the most translated document in the world. Thank you.